All right. Hello. Welcome to the Mindful Mama Collective. We're so thrilled to have you join us today as we talk about essential oils for moms. A little bit of background information. I'm Rebecca. I'm a mom of 3 and a postpartum depression thriver. And I help people with mental illnesses live well by giving them practical, tangible tips to help them get through everyday life. My co-host, my co-mod here is Chelsea, and Chelsea is the essential oil expert in my life. So Chelsea, what are we talking about today?
I am so excited to be here. We are going to chat on some oils that are good for all the things in motherhood, and for us, for our babies, all of them. I know essential oils are. Yeah, go ahead.
I totally interrupted you. Sorry, bad manners.
That's okay.
Tell me about how you got into essential oils, because I know we see a lot of things online and it's kind of a trendy thing, but I know you and I have both really found that they made a difference in our life. So maybe give some background on how did you get into oils in the first place?
Yeah, for sure. That's the most important part. So my kind of health part of my story is I just want to share a little bit of where this is coming from. So back in 2014, I started kind of diving into my health, but I wasn't really taking care of my mindset. So I know we chatted about mindset a few episodes ago, but I needed to dive into my physical health. So I was feeling like crap for years, and I didn't really know why. So I first started by changing my eating habits, and I should have felt better, but I didn't. So I started to look in a lot deeper and cutting out certain foods, doing a whole body cleanse, eating all organic whole foods, all of the things. And I know we wanted to have kids, so I started to prepare my body, which was the best thing that I could have ever done, because I was already creating these habits before getting pregnant, which was great because now the habits were I was already in a routine and they were second nature. I was first introduced to essential oils when I had head lice as a child. And my mom actually put tea tree oil in our shampoo. But that was not the kind of essential oils that I currently use. That was a much cheaper option. But that was the level of awareness that we had back then, right? So much has come out since then, and the research and the studies have come out, which is so cool. So when I was first introduced to doTERRA, which is the company that I'm currently using, I knew that this was something special because, as we know, essential oils don't have any regulation on them. So any producer can put in whatever they want into that bottle and call it 100% pure, which is actually kind of gross in my opinion. Like, it's not okay to say something's 100% pure when it's not. Mm-hmm. And you could be poisoning or kind of making people put them in a toxic situation, which is not cool. So
yeah, I definitely found that, like, you go to like a Walmart or a Shoppers and there's essential oils and you're like, why is this only $12? You know, like there's that. But I think that is what has given people a bad taste too for essential oils. And that's maybe one of the boundaries to people trying it, is like, how do I even know what's good? Because you hear, oh, it's bad for your pets, or, oh, you have to be careful around kids. And if you're getting oils from, anywhere, how do you know that it's a safe thing that you're using, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially when it comes to like young babies, or your pets, or even yourself if you're pregnant. Like, you have to be careful with anything we use nowadays. So this was where I kind of started diving in, making sure these were products that I actually wanted to use and bring into our home. So when that all kind of began, it was pretty crazy. The first experience I had when I started using doTERRA, when I experienced it the first time at the class that I attended, and it was incredible. I smelled a bottle of peppermint and I could not believe how powerful it was. Like, I had smelled peppermint oil, or maybe peppermint extract, I guess, just from whatever I would use in cooking or baking. And it was a much different experience. So the person who was hosting the class had us take a drop of the peppermint, rub it into our hands, close our eyes. You had to make sure you closed your eyes before you breathed in that oil, because the vapors from the peppermint, because it was so pure and potent, were so strong. And then we massaged the oil into our neck, and it was insane, the tingling and the cooling effect that it had on my neck. And then I quickly began to use Deep Blue because I was experiencing some crazy body pain just from the welding job I was doing. And then my husband was also feeling a lot of body pain as well from his job, and neck pain. He had a lot of neck pain, and he would get really bad migraines from it. So Deep Blue was our savior for sure. And then for me, I was diving into all of the digestive support because my digestive system was so thrown off with everything I was doing in the past, and thinking it was the right option, and then cutting out the foods and taking my digestive supplements were the best thing I could have done. So yeah, then we just started diving into everything, bringing it into all areas of our home, seeing how else we could use it, and improving our sleep, our immune function, reducing our toxic load. So making my own cleaning products. And doTERRA was aligning exactly with the message that I was already trying to put out. I just didn't have the products to do that with. So yeah, it was really, really cool how it was aligning so well with my life as already as it was.
Yeah. And then you get pregnant and you have babies. And I know for myself, when I was first learning about oils, I had somebody say, oh, well, that's not safe to take in pregnancy, or that's not safe to take to give to your baby. And so, but they would give me Advil, or they would give me something else that I also didn't know what the ingredients were. Like, you have to get like a dictionary out to read what half this stuff is, right? And so it was, I started my oil journey really slowly, because a lot of products that say they're natural are not necessarily good for you. It's just kind of like, gluten-free doesn't mean healthy, right? I like the stuff that you could get that's gluten-free might not have gluten in it, but it's got a ton of other processed stuff, right? So my journey was really slow, and I read a lot, and then I tried a lot. And so it was a slow journey for me. And so, Chelsea, you're doing doula training right now, and you're super passionate about motherhood and like having a good experience in all of that. And oils have been a huge part of that for you, haven't they?
Yeah, and they will continue to be, and I will bring this into my doula services and training that I'm going to be bringing forth to all of my clients. So it's a cool piece, and a cool, like, it's another tool in my tool belt, right? So I can now add that in and use it to help so many moms through labor. And I actually want to share a bit about how I use them in my birth and postpartum. I actually created an ebook for this, which is really cool. So anyone can get this for free. I have put a link in my bio on Clubhouse, and then for anyone on YouTube, I will link it up as well. So where I started, again, so changing my health, getting really, really healthy was the most important thing before I got pregnant. And I'm going to be creating a pre-pregnancy ebook in the future for this, which is really cool. So stay tuned, because getting your body prepared before you're pregnant, I think, is like the most important thing, because it sets you up for an incredible pregnancy.
Oh, that's definitely been true in my life. Like with my first one, I didn't know anything about this stuff. And then as I learned and experienced things, like my second and my third pregnancy were so much easier, because I was already in a healthier body, and I knew, okay, I want to have this child, so I want my body to be healthy so I can do this well. And I don't think I discovered oils until my third child, but just the eating healthier and stuff, I gained half the weight with my other two than I did with my first, right? It was just making those small shifts that changed everything. And I would have never thought about that before. It was just like, well, you have sex and then you get pregnant and then you have a baby, right? It never occurred to me to like prepare my body for this. And it makes so much sense. So it's definitely something I share with my friends all the time now.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is very important. And again, you're just like a lot of the people that would assume the same thing. Oh, we want to have a baby. Okay, a lot of people get married or don't get married nowadays and like just have a baby. But if you're not already doing the things, then you changing that stuff once you become pregnant, because a lot of mindset changes once you become pregnant for a lot of moms. It's just like, okay, now I'm pregnant, I got to give myself really good stuff. But changing that stuff during pregnancy is actually more challenging than it is to do it before and it already become second nature to you. So that is why like this is super important. Obviously, if pregnancy happens before you planned on it, then yes, that's one thing. But it happens, right? And we just roll with it, with what's can happen. So once you find out you're pregnant, then you can just start doing a few of the things like taking some supplements and stuff to really help the growth of your baby and help yourself as well.
And Chelsea, so you're going to be a doula, but you already have a lot of certifications and you do a lot of stuff with oils. So if there are moms that have questions about, hey, my baby has an upset stomach, what can I do? Or my toddler, or this is what I'm experiencing in pregnancy. You have a lot of those, like that advice. People can reach out to you and you'd love to work with them, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would love that. That's nothing more than I love to help moms and like anyone struggling, because that's not fun, right? So yeah, I will just go over a few things that are in the ebook, and then if you want the full ebook, like I said, the link is in my bio to grab it, or you can message me, email me, whatever, and I can get it sent out to you. So peppermint is kind of a controversial oil, especially when you use a really, really good quality essential oil. That's like, so generally I'm speaking just about doTERRA. I cannot speak for any other essential oil because I've never tried them. So peppermint in doTERRA is the one I'm speaking of. So that is a really good one for kind of lifting your energy. If you're kind of feeling tired through your pregnancy, this is a really, really good one to help with that. So just by adding a drop to your hand and then making sure to close the eyes and then breathing it in. And then heartburn is another common thing that happens during pregnancy. So this is a good one as well. So you can dilute this with coconut oil or fractionated coconut oil, whatever you have. And then you can actually rub it right onto your like your chest or your esophagus, kind of where you're feeling the heartburn. And then as well as breathing it in too. So you're never gonna you're never going to not use it in the right way or use it like properly. As long as you're using it or breathing it into the way that it feels right to you, then generally it's going to do something, which is cool.
And I found for me, peppermint really helped with the pregnancy headaches. I had so many headaches when I was pregnant, and that really, like breathing it in or putting it on my temples, or even just diffusing it in whatever room I was in, made a huge difference for those hormonal headaches.
Yeah, for sure. So again, peppermint is safe during pregnancy. It's just in the postpartum phase where you want to be mindful of your peppermint use, because it can reduce your milk supply if you're breastfeeding. So that's the only time that someone has kind of said, well, peppermint, like it might not be safe during pregnancy, but nope, it is. So, but again, do what you are comfortable with. If you're not comfortable using it, then you can always try DigestZen or ZenGest is another. It's a blend that doTERRA created to kind of help with upset stomach or any kind of nauseous feelings or heartburn or anything like we just talked about. And then serenity. So we know sleep is not one thing that you get a lot of coming to the end of your pregnancy. So trying kind of everything that you can. Getting a really comfortable pillow can obviously be super supportive to making your body comfortable to fall asleep. And then we love Serenity. So this is a blend, again, that doTERRA created. So it has many, many oils in it that are really, really calming and relaxing. So this is also can be used for any needing of calming and relaxing through the day, which is cool. But we like to add Serenity to our diffuser at night, probably like 30 minutes before we go to sleep. And then that is really good to kind of have it going throughout the entire area of your bedroom, and you're breathing it in as you are falling asleep. And then you can also apply it right to your pulse points, under your nose, or just breathing it in from your hands as well as putting it in your diffuser.
One of the things that I've started implementing in our life is actually having different essential oils diffusing at different parts of the day. So in the morning, I do something energizing. We homeschool, so I do wild orange because that's super good for concentration. And I just find it helps the kids. And they know now, like when that smell comes, it's time to do our book work. And then at about 5 o'clock, I start diffusing something calming. And it just gives the kids, like, it's like a switch has been flipped, right? Like, it's just like, okay, now we are trying to create a calming environment. And I find that as I've done that, they start to calm down, and it's just created a really nice routine for our lives too. One that we use a lot for sleep is cedarwood. I found it helps me to sleep super, super deeply. And I mean, I love the smell of it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually in Serenity, which is cool. And then again, obviously, if any of this information sounds super foreign to you, reach out, because we do offer intro to oil classes, which are free every week. And I also have recorded classes too. So if essential oils are something you know nothing about, or how to use, or even know what a diffuser is, then reach out, because for sure it is becoming a big part, but it's also not everyone knows about it as well.
And if you're looking for some extra support, whether it's oil or mindset or anything parenting, I'm just going to segue a little bit to Chelsea has an amazing mama support group on Facebook. And so you can ask questions in there. She has questions, journaling prompts. She talks about, like, hey, what went well this week? She gives lots of practical advice that way. So if some of this sounds really foreign and you're like, well, I mean, better sleep or less heartburn sounds good, but I don't even know where to start, that's another great place to start. That's very low pressure, right? It's just a Facebook group that you join. Is it just called Mindful Mama Collective, Chelsea?
Yep. Yeah, we post so much stuff in there. And then, of course, reaching out if you have personal things you want to chat about, because as you can tell, feel my passion through our voice or through the picture, wherever you're seeing this. Like, I am just so passionate about helping moms because of my original story. And I don't think we ever actually chatted about that, but my original story of why this became so popular and like just such a passion for mine was I had a really, really horrible first birth. And that kind of stemmed from, what else can I learn? What else is out there that I can now kind of use? Because we knew we wanted to have a second child, but kind of figuring out what I could research and how I could change that, my birth experience for the second time around would be a lot different. So I ended up having a C-section with our first son. I had midwives. I did all of the things to kind of keep a natural birth, but it just didn't go the way I expected at all. And that sent me into a lot of trauma during birth, which I know my story is very, very similar to a lot of others. And feeling that trauma just didn't feel right to me. Like it didn't feel that this was the way my birth was supposed to go. Ultimately, I know there's some chance, like sometimes you just can't change it. But for this instant, it could have been changed. It was just unfortunately the way it went with our medical professionals and all of that. So keeping and kind of diving more into like my natural things that felt better to me. We then were able to do a home birth the second time around, and it went a lot better than I expected. So a longer labor, but I had to remember that this was kind of my first actual birth, right? Like a C-section, I didn't have a baby through the vaginal canal. So this was kind of like the first time around for me. So yeah, second time around was kind of my first. And then, we were planning to have more. So then my labor will be a lot better. So I'm excited.
Yeah. And I mean, we learn so much each time too, right? Like my first birth was absolutely traumatic too. And then eventually, doing enough research, we found out that my body is not capable of delivering a baby vaginally. Like there's just something with my body that will not allow it. And so that was crushing. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, but what is in my control? Right. So with the second one, I knew I had a doula. I was using the oils. I used the oils like after the surgery to help with the recovery. And with the third, I did the same thing and it was even better. And so there was something that wasn't in my control, but using essential oils and mindset and getting that support has been huge. It was huge. And each birth, even though it wasn't exactly the way I wanted it, was better because I was using all these tools and all these things I had learned from the previous birth.
Mm-hmm. So we can transition now to like a really, really helpful oil that I used during my labor, which was Deep Blue. So I was getting a lot of back labor. I'm more so speaking from like my home birth, just because I only got to a certain point with my first birth. And then hospital can be like, you'd have to definitely ask, but hospital can be tricky. Certain ones don't allow it. So you just have to be kind of mindful of that, whether you have a diffuser going or whatever. So yeah, Deep Blue was super helpful. I was getting a lot of back labor. So I just would have my husband or my mom, they were both at my birth. Well, of course my husband was, but they would just rub Deep Blue into my lower back where I was feeling the pressure. And then also then they were like putting pressure on my back, which was really nice. But like I said, this ebook has so many things of different options. So kind of like gives you a bunch of different things that you can have there. And then I even had this ebook printed out for like my husband or my mom or my midwife or whoever needed to just be like, okay, she's in the labor transition or whatever transition I was in. She might need calming. Then let's like, okay, grab the lavender. Or if I felt nauseous, then I was just kind of, I really actually didn't feel nauseous though. But I had it there just in case, just like take the peppermint bottle, breathe it in. So then that would really help kind of calm the stomach. Like they say throwing up is good during labor because it helps get your baby down, but it was just like, oh, if I don't have to throw up, then I'm not going to.
Love that. I don't think there's anything enjoyable about labor, but then you get the baby and it's wonderful.
Well, I think you're muted, Rebecca.
Oh, we have got our stuff together, ladies.
I was like,
we do.
I can see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you.
I don't even remember what I was going to say. Oh, wait, I said that there's really nothing enjoyable about labor, but you get the baby at the end. And anything you can do to help that along is just, like you said, another tool for your tool belt, right? And so I know for both of us, essential oils have been a huge part of bettering our lives.
Yeah, no, for sure. We've kind of used them in like every area of our life and home now, which is crazy. And then I'll just touch on a really important one for postpartum. Also good for pre-pregnancy kind of to start, but doTERRA is actually their #1 selling product, is their lifelong vitality vitamins. So I started taking these pre-pregnancy, and then I use them as my prenatal vitamins, just added in like a methylfolate and a couple other things that you need more of in order to when you're pregnant. So I added that stuff in, and then postpartum, they were like a lifesaver for me because I was feeling my mood. I always notice like after you're kind of like your hormones and everything, like I don't really feel it, just like the joy of like the baby's here. And then it kind of hits me, I don't know, a couple months into postpartum, that everything that just happened and everything that went on. And then it's just like now the reality sets in that like, okay, we have at this point 2 kids now, and it's so my mood I was finding was really affected during my postpartum, and for the first birth was even more affected just because of the trauma that I had with that birth. So I have found and even now, my lifelong vitality vitamins have literally saved my life for mood and kind of keeping me on track which is really, really interesting because that's not what I expected they would be good for, because they are good for clearer skin, better sleep, better like body, like reduction in body pain and so many things. So that has been the biggest shift. And it's like, I notice when I'm getting kind of more irritable or like getting frustrated with the kids or anything, it's just like, oh, it's been like 3 or 4 days and I haven't taken my vitamins. So then I just like tune right back in and start taking them again, because I notice how much, and my body is not like eliminating, so I'm not going to the bathroom as much either. So that is probably playing a big role in holding in a lot of those toxins. So I also take a digestive enzyme for that. But that has kind of been the most helpful. And then balance would be another really good one. It's our grounding blend. So it helps kind of with all the emotions that come up during postpartum and just helps kind of guide you through what your body just went through. It helps you kind of process everything. But I did find writing out my birth story really helped to kind of process everything and go through it like detail by detail. So we ended up having a birth photographer who was actually a doula for our second birth. And it was helpful to have her because she was there. She remembered things and picked up on it because she had been to so many births that my husband or my mom maybe didn't pick up on. And then I went through my birth story with her, and that was really healing for me as well. Like this birth was a lot more healing for me, but then just that piece of writing out my story was also really, really helpful.
Well, I think we sometimes don't think, I know for myself, I didn't realize my first birth had been that traumatic until I was pregnant with my second and I had a midwife. And so we were going over my birth history and she looked at it and she goes, I don't think you realize this, but you almost died. And I was like, what? And so she's reading this to me, and I think I was just in such a daze with it all, and things started making sense to me. And so that's why after my second and after my third, I walked through it with a midwife or a doula or a therapist, because we need to process that. And I feel like in North America, we've really failed moms when it comes to the support. I have my family background is multicultural, and for a lot of my cousins who are a part of this Mexican tradition, for the first 6 weeks, moms are not left alone. Like their number one job is to take care of the baby. They get meals for 6 weeks. They hire a maid or like a live-in nanny if you have extra kids. And so in North America, I don't know where we lost that. But I definitely, when I have friends now, my gift to them is a set of essential oils specifically geared towards mamas. And I'm like, I really try to be there. Or we pay for, as a family, we pay for a cleaner to come once a week, because I really feel like the support for moms has really been lost. And so that's a huge part of what you and I are trying to do, Chelsea, is just give that support that maybe you and I didn't really have.
Mm-hmm. And for sure, you definitely learn from your experience, because then you realize like, okay, I didn't like that, or I wanted this or whatever. And then you kind of realize, okay, now that you're having conversations with other moms, they kind of are feeling the same way you did. So that's so cool that you offer that. And I'm kind of the same way. It's just like, I'm not going to go and visit like a friend or my sister or whoever who just had a baby and then ask them to like, oh, can I have a drink of water? Can I have this? Like, let's make something and like make a mess of their kitchen and then leave. Like, I would never do that. And I honestly didn't have that done to me very much, but I also set those strict boundaries of, we will not have visitors until a couple weeks after the baby and things like that. So yeah, definitely setting that up ahead of time before baby has arrived and now you're trying to like figure all that out. Can be really, really helpful.
I think it's so important, and you'll probably be talking about this in your doula stuff, but to come up with a plan after the baby comes and set those boundaries. And we had to learn that along the way because we have family out of province. And so when they would come, they would stay with us, and they meant well, and they wanted to be a part of this baby's life. but I needed time to bond with that baby, right? And there were things that I needed. And so, with the first one, we had all sorts of visitors in the hospital. By the third one, it was only like my siblings and my parents and, close family, because it was like, we need to set boundaries with this time, right? And that's okay. It is absolutely okay to say, no, I need some space right now. I need to bond with this baby. I need to figure out the nursing thing before I have people in my home, and those things are all okay. And I would love to do a room on that sometime, just like setting boundaries with pregnancy and delivery and parenting, because there's a lot there, and that's not really our conversation today, but there's my little tangent.
Yeah, no, that is very important. And it even goes for like the rest of into parenthood, like you said, because it, like, not even just with our kids, but setting our own boundaries. So that could be like a very broad conversation that we have, because it just encompasses so much. But yeah, like setting boundaries for your life and how you see things like is huge. But yeah, so I will just share one thing that we found helpful with our kids and then after baby was born. So
Okay.
one thing that we did, so we know the power of frankincense. Obviously, it was given to baby Jesus. So we wanted to add 1 drop to the crown of his head when he was born, and then onto his spine as well. And that just helps with protection and bonding. And it helps the circulation and get all of the oxygen transferred through the cells, because now they're having to breathe on their own. So frankincense was a really, really important one that we made sure we did. I think I even had it in a roller and just rolled it on his head, so it was already pre-diluted. And then the kids' oils. So these can also be used for infants and kids, and anyone who is sensitive to essential oils as well, because they are very, very, very diluted. So there is a whole line of kids' oils, which we love. There's ones that are good for immune system, for calming. So that's good for bedtime as well. And even one for upset stomach. And as they get older, there's ones that they can use for school time or different things that they put them, like situations that they get put in, or to feel brave. Like there's an oil called Brave, or to feel like, so there's so many things that we can use. But yeah, there's our top ones for newborns as well that we use for, yeah, like we're around so many things. So boosting their immune system, and then if you're able to breastfeed, then that obviously helps give them all the nutrients and vitamins that they need to get their gut flora going and all of that. But that is kind of all I have for today. Like, do we have any questions or anything else you want to add, Rebecca?
Let's maybe just go back and remind people where they can go to access all this information, because you've shared so much and I need to like write things down. So you have some links in your Clubhouse bio and in the YouTube, but just remind people where they would go if they wanted to get this ebook, or if they have any questions about oils for you.
Yeah, so I have this all on my website as well, which is chelseadinner.com. And then it's just all under the mom and baby tab. So that is where, and then you just click on go scroll down to the bottom, and it's at the bottom where you can just put in your name and email, and then the ebook will get sent to you.
Awesome. You've been listening to Essential Oils for Mamas in the Mindful Mama Collective. We're here every week on Tuesday at 11, and we talk all things mama, mindset, and thriving in a life with kids. So that's it for us today. We look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Take care.